Hey, Kyle Madson, Top Story Sports 1140. Kings-Lakers didn't go well for the Kings on the scoreboard, 128-123. Went pretty well for him in the box score, though. De'Aaron Fox, 18 points on 7 of 9 shooting, 4 of 6 from beyond the arc in 18 minutes. Harry Giles, 14 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists in 25 minutes. And Marvin Bagley had a double-double, 19 points, 10 boards in 32 minutes. The Kings are back in action tonight against the Golden State Warriors at Key Arena up in Seattle. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports 1140. Pre-game at 7, opening tip at 7:30. The Brewers snuck past the Rockies 3-2 in 10 innings in the first game of their National League Division Series, while the Dodgers shut out the Braves 6-0 to take a 1-0 lead in their NLDS. The American League Division Series get underway today. The Indians are at the Astros in the morning, while the Yankees in Boston open up out in Boston later on in the evening. And then the Patriots opened up Week 5 of the NFL season with a 38-24 win over the Colts. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHK. No.
I'm not letting you go to
Not Rise and Shine.
Wait, what? Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning. You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Welcome into The Drive. Big final hour for you. Our thanks to Sean Salisbury joining us via the Fire Wings hotline, as do all our guests. Go to firewings.com. Grab 21 different flavors. Kyle's knocked out all but a couple. All but 3. Wow. Just a field goal left. You can do that in one sitting. Firewings.com, just wing it. Thanks to Jason Anderson, the new Kings beat writer for the Sacramento Bee. Put together a really good column. You know, it's a lot of old emotions being struck up today with the Kings taking on the Warriors tonight in Seattle. Of course, your coverage right here on the Sporty One. He wrote an article, kind of a retrospective of everything that happened. We've been through the Seattle thing 500 billion thousand times, but what I like is that we don't go through it all the time now. You know, I don't think about it every day. I don't think about it every week. I don't think about it every month. But every once in a while, something will happen, like his article today, which talks to a ton of people from around here, from around Seattle, and I've been very, very, very open about it. I could not stand anybody in Seattle during the fight. They were all the enemy. Now that it's all over, in truth, they should have never lost their team. They need a team back. It's an absolute travesty that they don't. And I'm glad they get to see at least some form of NBA basketball tonight. There's a quote in there, because he did talk to me at one point where I was talking about publicly being confident and privately every once in a while having doubts. And I said, of course I had doubts at times. Anybody who says they never had a doubt didn't have a firm grasp as to what was going on. And I stand by that. There's some people that are probably, I never had a doubt. Well, if you never had a doubt, that's fine. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but if you never had a doubt, that the Kings were going to stay, then either you're a blind optimist I'm jealous of, or you had no idea what was going on.
Or both.
Or both. Because when that deal came down, and you looked at what was going on in the mayor's office, or more to the point, what wasn't going on, and the fact that there was a record number being paid for the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, with Steve Ballmer and Microsoft and Nordstrom and everybody behind it. If you didn't look at that day and a couple other days in between when we lost Ron Burkle, we had to move Mark Mastrov over. There were some times where it was like, oh, when David Stern said, yeah, that the deal is not there yet. You look at all that. You didn't have a doubt. God bless you.
$154, according to ESPN, to get in the door tonight at Key Arena.
$154 for a preseason game. Joining us right now, let's switch gears. It's 8-ish. A little late here. And joining us, the preeminent fantasy football mind in all the land, in fact, that ever lived and that ever will live, from CBSSports.com, the one, the only, Dave Richard, hailing from Florida. Hello, David.
Good morning, Dave, and it's good to talk to you. And I don't know whether we should do this at the beginning of our chat or at the end of our chat, but there is a certain college football game that is going down this weekend,
Yep.
and there is one of those teams that is favored significantly over the other. So it's up to you if you want to talk about it. Maybe we shouldn't even talk about it because I don't want you to, I don't want to bring up a bad subject or sore thing for you. I just want you to be your usual jovial self and not have to worry about butt kickings that might happen on Saturday.
Talking about UC Davis, Northern Colorado?
Yes, he is.
Yes, of course.
I am very comfortable, David, in saying at the very beginning of our interview, let me just be the first to tell you, congratulations on your win tomorrow. It is going to be a drubbing from start to finish. It is going to be a drubbing perhaps we haven't seen since 30 years ago when the Florida State Seminoles were the preseason number 1 coming off a Miami National Championship. And Deion Sanders, Peter Tom Willis, and friends created a video that you can barely find now called Seminole Rap. And Miami hung a 31 burger on them, and Florida State did not score in the opening game. I feel like it's going to be one of those. We don't have to worry about wide left or wide right because you're not going to need field goals. I'll go 48-14 Hurricanes, and congratulations again.
Well, I appreciate it. It's rare to be almost a 2-touchdown favorite over Florida State.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Florida State had Miami's number. I am going to relish what should be a convincing victory for N'Kosi Perry and the Miami Hurricanes. And now, with that out of the way, would you like to talk a little fantasy football?
No.
I like Miami and all the points, by the way.
No.
We can keep going on Saints Knowles if you want.
Hey, Dave, you want me to dump this guy?
I want to talk about anything with you, Dave Richard. Okay, let's start with this. If you are an Alvin Kamara owner and you see Mark Ingram coming back, not that Kamara is going to, be a guy you put on your bench, but are you a little bit worried about relying on so much of his scoring like you have the first 4 weeks?
I do think that his workload will lighten a little bit. Before this week, he's averaged about 14 carries and about 9 catches per game. That's a lot for Alvin Kamara. And I think it's going to drop, especially since he's been limited in practice. He's going to play, and he'll have a chance to put up some big numbers. But, yeah, Mark Ingram coming back should take some of the rushing workload off his plate, maybe even a couple of catches per game on average. I think that's just the smart thing for the Saints to do, right? They've got this running back who they know, who's very good at getting yards and moving the chains, and he's got fresh legs. Why wouldn't they use him and keep Alvin Kamara, not in a complimentary role, because that's got a certain tenor to it that I just don't want to associate with Kamara, but keep him fairly limited. And it's a good matchup against Washington. They have a ton of yards per carry. And I think the Saints on prime time are just going to keep doing what they're doing. So Kamara and Ingram, to me, are both top 12 running backs. Kamara closer to the top, Ingram closer to the bottom, but both of them in line for nice games in Week 5.
I want to take a look at last night's game because I had a conundrum leading up to the game, and it ended up working out okay with Sony Michel and James White. They were both pretty productive last night, but is there one that you foresee garnering more touches moving forward, or is it safe to start both those guys every week?
For now, it's safe to start both, but in time, I would imagine that Sony Michel will get more carries, and as the weather turns cold in the Northeast, then you know that the Patriots aren't going to throw quite as much, and so Michel figures to be their primary back, and I think he's got unbelievable value moving forward. We had to talk about it on our podcast this morning. Who would you rather have rest of the season? I'll pose this to both of you guys. Would you rather have Le'Veon Bell, knowing his track record and even knowing that now he's going to come back Week 8, we think, or Sony Michel, rest of the season? Who you got?
I'm going to go Bell only because I worry about Bill Belichick and his running backs. I worry about James White, and the Steelers haven't exactly been gangbusters so far. But I'm also going to say that I'm not going to bet a nickel on that prediction by me.
Yeah, I like Michel just if for no other reason he has 3 additional weeks of production ahead of him.
What matters is what do you think, David?
Well, what I think is that if someone offered me Sony Michel in a trade for Le'Veon Bell, I would take it. I would take Sony Michel ahead of Le'Veon Bell. I think his value is that much bigger. He does have a little bit of injury issue. He does have a little bit of a fumble issue, but for now, he seems locked in as the Patriots' top back. And I'll throw in an additional factor. Who else does New England have to run the football besides White and Michel? They clearly don't trust White as a do-it-all back because they're giving Sony Michel the majority of carries. Now, they're still going to use White quite a bit, and their offense is so varied right now that those underneath routes that White runs, like those little 5-yard out routes, what have you, those are going to be there for him every single week, regardless of the opponent. It's just going to come down to those weeks later in the season when the Patriots are just going to salt games away with the run. It's what they did yesterday, and Sony Michel really benefited from it. I think he's going to continue to be very good for them. I like him better than James White rest of season.
This guy's got to pick 3. We'll go to some of your text questions here. He has to pick 3 of these, so basically he needs to leave one of these names off. Tevin Coleman, Jimmy Graham, Derrick Henry, Carlos Hyde.
A Tennessee Titans running back against the Buffalo Bills, but Derrick Henry just hasn't found the end zone, and when he hasn't found the end zone, he hasn't even found 60 yards on top of it. He might have a decent week, but I just think you've got better options than Henry.
Start Dalvin Cook, start Tevin Coleman.
I don't know if Cook's going to play, and even if he does, I just feel like the offensive identity for the Vikings is throwing the football, and that's how it is for a lot of teams. Cook barely played last week. Obviously, he didn't feel right. This is not an easy matchup for him. Tevin Coleman should be the best running back for the Falcons against the Steelers. Should be a decent matchup for him against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has not allowed a ton of yards per carry to running backs. But I do feel like Coleman is the most prepared. He just really didn't take advantage of this audition that he's had, playing without Devontae Freeman, and now Freeman's back. Figure that Coleman probably gets 2 or 3 more touches than Freeman on Sunday.
Are you as worried about starting Devontae Freeman as I am? I mean, obviously depending on the depth, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what else you have.
Yeah.
And, the other part of it is you drafted Devontae Freeman in round 2, round 3. You expect a certain amount of numbers from him. And now that he's back, you want to put him in your lineup. But goodness, I don't know how many more. I think his max is going to be right around 13 touches. And the one thing that does help him is it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yep.
You've got to figure one of the Falcons' running backs will score, but Coleman's the one who's been in the flow of games lately. Who knows if they'll use Ito Smith a little bit as well? That's who scored for them last week. That was frustrating for Tevin Coleman owners. Coleman is my pick, but he's a low-end number 2 fantasy running back.
Sort of the same question as we talked to Dave Richard with CBS Sports. Giovanni Bernard's a little banged up, which might help here, but Joe Mixon, how confident are you with him?
I'm not even sure if Gio's going to play, and it looks for sure like Joe Mixon's going to play. Whether he's ready or not, here he comes.
Right.
And it's a nice matchup against Miami. That Dolphins' run defense has not looked good.
Lamar Miller has been I want to say he's been a conundrum this year, but he's really been a conundrum. There's probably no 2 running backs in the NFL going right now that I see that are more confusing than Kenyon Drake and Lamar Miller. Are you higher on one than the other?
No, but I'm not high on them for different reasons. In the case of Drake, he's just not getting the workload. This is a Dolphins team that prefers to throw than run. Sometimes it's because of game script. And when they do run, we've seen Frank Gore take sometimes more carries than Kenyon Drake. Yeah. It's very frustrating because you think Drake is the better talent, but for whatever reason, the coaches aren't trusting him as much. Miller's a little bit of a different story. We've seen him get at least 14 carries 3 of 4 games this season. He's picking up a little bit in the receiving game, 5 catches 2 weeks ago, no targets last week against Indianapolis, but his rushing average, it's down to 3.9 after starting the season hot. His only touchdown came on a reception. And I don't love the matchup for him against Dallas. I can't trust Lamar Miller, not even as a number 2 running back. That's one where I'd go with Tevin Coleman ahead of Lamar Miller.
You talk about Tevin Coleman. I want to stick on the Falcons real quick. Is Calvin Ridley a must-start at this point? Do you think he keeps up this kind of production in the touchdown column?
I mean, I don't have a good reason to go against Calvin Ridley. Anytime anybody scores 6 touchdowns in a 3-game span, you're going to want to go with that guy. You wish the target volume was up a little bit. 19 targets in those last 3 games. You'd wish that was higher, but he's caught 15 of them. 15 of 19 targets is really good, and he's catching deep balls. He's beating single coverage. He's got great speed. He's a really good wide receiver on a team that's going to continue to throw the ball. Even with Devontae Freeman coming back, I think they're going to throw the ball minimum 35 times against the Steelers. I like Ridley's chances to continue to get 7, 8, 9 targets. That means 5, 6, 7 catches. And we've seen him when he's getting 4 or more catches, he's finding the end zone. I have a very difficult time benching him. I would say his floor right now is 40 yards and a touchdown.
Wow. It's so scary, though. I have Ridley in one of my leagues, and it's almost like this is a bad example, David, but it's almost like the Cooper Kupp syndrome I had a couple weeks ago. There's so many targets, and every week I feel like I put Ridley in. Oh, this is when Mohamed Sanu is going to have 5 touchdowns. Or oh, there's Julio Jones or the tight end or whoever. But I guess you kind of, and we're not even talking about the backfield. I guess you just kind of got to get over that when you've got, you have that amount of games and, like you said, 6 touchdowns to look at. But it's scary.
It is a little bit, but then you look at Sanu. Like if you compare Sanu to Ridley, Sanu for the first time in the last 3 weeks had more targets than Ridley, had more catches than Ridley, and certainly the 111 yards is nice, but he's a complementary player in that offense, and he's not nearly as dangerous as Ridley is. And the Steelers just don't have the horses in their defense to match up with Sanu and Ridley. And that other wide receiver that Atlanta's got, what's his name again? I'm blanking on this one, Dave. Oh, wait a minute. It's John Smith. No,
right.
It's Julio Jones. And I know he doesn't have a touchdown yet this season, but he continues to get a lot of targets. And I think this week he can score against Pittsburgh.
How much more? I'm getting a lot of questions, and I love it because he's one of my 2 pet projects this year. I'm getting a lot of questions, though, about Nick Chubb. Are we still a ways away? We still need a few more games before we start popping him in the lineup?
Yes, but I think the Browns are ready to start popping him in their lineup a little bit more. You know, he's maxed out at 3 carries at every game this year.
Wow.
And in 3 of the games, he's averaged, like obviously last week he had 105 yards on 3 carries, so his rushing average was 35 yards per carry. That's going to be a little unsustainable. But even in some other games this season when he just had limited work, he was averaging 7 yards a carry. And I think he's definitely got talent. It's a matter of how much the coaching staff is ready to trust him. And when they put him in the game, does it tip off the defense as to what the Browns are going to do? Does Chubb on the field mean, oh, watch out, here they come, they're going to run the football at Chubb? They need to do a better job of kind of putting him, they need to put him on the field a little bit more, and they need to diversify what he does. He's not a great pass protector. He's not a great receiver either. That's something that they got to work on with him, but that's one thing that you need to see from Chubb before you start saying, okay, I'm going to trust this guy in my fantasy lineup. I would guess that his carries go up to maybe 5 or 6 this week, while Carlos Hyde probably dips under 20. I do think Hyde has a moderate chance to score a touchdown. That's why you've been riding with him this season. Tough matchup for him against Baltimore, one of the toughest he will have this year. But I still think he's a low, again, like Tevin Coleman, low-end number 2 fantasy running back.
When we talk about people emerging, and this is a guy who since he's been in the league, has been talked about as far as his route running, his ability to pull down balls, and it feels like he's finally found his connection with Deshaun Watson. Where are we at with old Will Fuller 5? And can you go, and this is the question somebody asked, they have both DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. Can you start them both?
I mean, if you like fantasy points, I think you got to give it a shot because DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller typically do a great job with Deshaun Watson, and Watson gives them lots of opportunities. And again, I'm going to go back to Lamar Miller here. He's not doing a good job running the football. The Texans' defense is terrible. They have no choice but to throw the football a lot, and I think you're going to continue to see that this week against the Dallas Cowboys. Watson has over 40 pass attempts each of his last 2 games. Now, maybe that's a little low by NFL standards because Andrew Luck, he's putting up the ball 50 times a game. There's a couple other quarterbacks that are doing that too. But Deshaun Watson throwing up 40 pass attempts per game, I think that's a recipe for fantasy success, and we've seen it with Fuller. I believe the 2 of them have connected for a touchdown every game they've played together. Nuke Hopkins is going to get his numbers as well. And then you've also got another receiver added in the mix. Kiki QT is their new slot receiver. You remember him from Texas Tech? He's really outstanding, and I really could see QT helping Watson's numbers out and helping fantasy owners if you're in a bind this week at receiver. And next week, there's 2 teams with a lot of good receivers on bye. Go pick up Kiki QT and get ready for him in week 6 if you don't already have an option to replace one of the Lions wide receivers, one of the Saints wide receivers in the coming week ahead.
That's actually a perfect segue because I was going to ask you about Kiki QT, and I have 2 guys sitting on my bench, in Chris Hogan and Marquise Goodwin, who have been mostly disappointing this year. I know Goodwin's been dealing with an injury. Would it be worth dropping one of those guys to pick up QT?
I think you could, and the problem is, in the case of Chris Hogan, he's just not getting a lot of targets, and now that Patriots offense is just gonna explode with a lot of guys not named Chris Hogan getting work. He seems to max out at about 3 catches per game, and other than Jacksonville, he can't find the end zone. So I don't think you'll ever start him with a great deal of confidence, and it's that confidence factor that goes into play with Goodwin as well. Now that C.J. Beathard's the quarterback, Beathard played a nice game last week, but Goodwin isn't somebody who I think you can count on to be number 2 fantasy wide receiver, maybe not even a number 3 fantasy wide receiver moving forward. I just don't think that Goodwin's game meshes well with what Beathard is doing in San Francisco.
Last thing for you, and getting a few of these questions with buys and different things coming up with the Jags playing the Chiefs this weekend. Depending on that depth, of course, do you have Blake Bortles as a decent play?
I do. I think he's got a chance. Listen, in this day and age of fantasy football, Dave, there's a ton of quarterbacks that can finish as top 12 guys. So you need to up the ante on what to expect from a quarterback. And I think 25 fantasy points is now what you're looking for from a top 12 guy. And I've seen quarterbacks go up against Kansas City, and they put up way more than 25 fantasy points, except for Case Keenum. That wasn't very good last week. I think you're going to see. I think Bortles has a chance to really rise to the occasion. He tends to play better without Leonard Fournette than with. That's kind of weird, but that's where they're at. And I think Blake Bortles could end up having a very good game this week. I would trust him over guys like Derek Carr. I would trust him over Alex Smith, Joe Flacco, even Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson. Sounds strange, but Bortles can get you numbers, and I think he'll be good for that this week.
Say, Dave Richard, if people want to ask you questions or hear more of your phenomenal fantasy coverage, where might they do that?
They can go to CBSSports.com for all the written advice that they can handle, including rankings, including a trade chart. And in about 30 minutes, I'm going to be live on our new streaming service, CBS Sports HQ, talking fantasy football for the next hour. So that kicks off at 9 o'clock out for everybody in Cali. Get on anything that's got Wi-Fi, your phone, an iPad, a computer, even one of those old-school computers. If you can get an internet signal and you can stream video on it, you can watch for free at CBSSportsHQ.com.
All right, Dave. We'll probably talk next week.
I hope so.
Good luck this weekend. You're not going to need it. You know, what are you going to
just remember it was a few short years ago when I was the one talking that way, and you were the one puffing out your chest because Florida State was doing so well.
I don't want to remember that, Dave. I don't want to remember that. Actually, that's all I have. That's all I have right now.
Memories.
We suck. All right, you take care, buddy. I'll talk to you Friday. Thank you, sir.
Later, Dave.
Later. That's Dave Richard, noted Miami Hurricane fan. Gonna have a fun day.
Alum.
Oh, alum. Oh, you know what?
I noted alum.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Noted Miami Hurricane. Is it alumnus? See, I don't.
Alumnus sounds fancier.
We'll talk to you later. Take care, buddy. That's Dave Richard. We'll take a break when we come back. Jon Anik, the play-by-play voice of your Ultimate Fighting Championship. He's going to join us next, and we are going to preview tomorrow's match between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. We're gonna go over pronunciation with the guy who's gonna be saying it Saturday night. That's next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Finally, after 3 agonizing weeks, the Raiders tasted victory for the first time this season. Can the Raiders make it 2 in a row?
Deflected, intercepted, Conley on the ricochet. Conley 20, go for the end zone, baby. Touchdown, Raiders.
They head to SoCal this Sunday to face division rival Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Game time is at 1:05 Sunday.
Touchdown, Jordy Nelson.
Here on your home for the Silver and Black.
Touchdown, Raiders lead it.
Sports 1140 KHTK.
Have you heard the expression that knowledge is power? It's definitely true in the criminal justice system. I'm attorney Darren Kavanoki with your 1-800-NO-CUFFS Legal Minute. Here's 3 quick tips to help protect your legal rights. First, the right to remain silent only helps if you exercise it, so please shut up. Next, if police want to search you or your stuff, consider just saying no. You don't have to consent. And if you're stopped for suspicion of DUI, think about politely declining those roadside gymnastics like standing on one leg. Did you know those tests are optional? The police won't tell you, but you don't have to do them. The more you say, the more you do, the better the chance you're leaving in handcuffs. Repeat after me. I'd love to, officer, but my lawyer would kill me. Please call 1-800-NO-CUFFS. The real pro tip is to put 1-800-NO-CUFFS on speed dial now, because no one looks good in handcuffs, unless you're into that sort of thing. 1-800-NO-CUFFS.
Hey, Sacramento, it's your boy DC here for Beck's Furniture and Sleep. It is that special time of year at Beck's. It's anniversary time, 51 years, and that is 5 decades of service, and the sales are tremendous. No interest, no money down, no minimum purchase. The deals are abundant. Bedroom sets, recliners, bar pub sets, dining sets, not to mention the Beck's Dream Team and what they can do for you. I'm telling you, there is so much to mention at Beck's Furniture and Sleep that I'll go crazy trying to do it. Tell them DC sent you. Visit them today. Beck'sFurniture.com.
Beck's Furniture.
Dierks Bentley Mountain High Tour. With special guests, Brothers Osborne and Lenko. This Saturday night, Toyota Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Dierks Bentley. Pre-order the new album, The Mountain, now at Dierks.com.
Sports 1140 KHTK is giving away coupons for a free all-new shredded beef taco at Del Taco at every event October 1st to the 15th. Log on to KHTK.com to find out where the street team will be. Shredded beef is back.
Join KHTK Sports 1140 this Friday from noon to 2 at Food for Less at 4551 Mac Road to enter to win a Money Can't Buy Sacramento Kings home opener experience.
Now your sports update. Sports update. Powered by Mercury Insurance.
It's Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Kings lost to the Lakers last night, 128-123. De'Aaron Fox led the way for them, though, with 18 points on 7 of 9 shooting, including 4 of 6 from beyond the arc in 18 minutes. He also dished out 5 assists. Marvin Bagley had a double-double. He had 19 points and 10 boards in 32 minutes. Sacramento will play again tonight against the 2-time defending champion Golden State Warriors at Key Arena up in Seattle. We'll have that and every Kings game, preseason, regular season, or otherwise for you right here on Sports 1140. Tonight's pregame begins at 7 with opening tip set for 7:30. The National League Division Series is kicked off yesterday with the 2 home teams notching wins. The Brewers snuck past the Rockies 3-2 in 10 innings thanks to a walk-off single from Mike Moustakas in the 10th, while the Dodgers, they didn't need a walk-off win. They beat the Braves 6-0. Those 2 series continue today, and the American League Division Series begin later on today as well, with the Indians taking on the Astros in Houston. The Yankees will visit the Red Sox. Week 5 of the NFL season got underway last night. The Colts tried to rally from a 24-3 deficit, but the Patriots, I don't want to say came back. That's not the right word. The Patriots pulled away. They pulled away for a 38-24 victory. Those are your top stories, and now it's back to the drive on Sports 1140 KH.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
Welcome back to the drive. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. Jon Anik is ready to go. He will join us, play-by-play voice of the UFC. Last night, Marvin Bagley had 17 points and 10 rebounds versus the Los Angeles Lakers and the greatest player in the world, LeBron James. Today in China, Luka Doncic had 11 points, 6 rebounds on 4 of 11 shooting. He missed all 4 of his three-pointers, and he had 3 assists. Clearly, Bagley was the better pick.
Trash.
Thank you. Told you all.
Luka looks good, man.
It looked okay. 4 of 11. Didn't make a single three, can't shoot. Probably gave up a lot of points on defense. 3 assists in 30 minutes. Oh, that's your...
Didn't even throw a single, dime.
Thank you.
He had one, full court thread the needle pass.
Yeah,
but...
one. And then he also had a three-pointer that airballed. Saw it. More like Luka.
More like loser Doncic.
Luka trash stick.
Luka dumb sit your butt down because you're not very good.
Thank you.
Oh, call John.
Thank you. Kostas Antetokounmpo off the bench in 4 minutes had 6 points and a steal. What's that per 36? Well, let's see. That would be 54 points, 9 steals. That's what Kostas Antetokounmpo's per 36 is off of yesterday's game. Dennis Smith Jr. did have 20 points and 5 assists. The Kings are back in action tonight. Can I say that, please? Kyle just asked me on the air. He goes, is John related to Sam? But he was serious. No, Jon Anik, A-N-I-K, Sam Amick, A-M-I-C-K. They are not related. Though John does have a twin brother who looks very much like VP of PR for the Philadelphia 76ers, Dave Schaller, joining us right now. The voice of the UFC, my buddy, and we're all just so proud of him here. He's got a big deal going on tomorrow night, UFC on pay-per-view. Let me see if I can do this, Kyle. We've been practicing all week for John coming on. We've been practicing this all week. Conor McGregor.
You got this.
All right, versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's Jon Anik. Hi, John.
My man, the pronunciation police will be out this weekend.
I know.
And this is obviously something that we deal with fight to fight. Sometimes the fighters change their names. You know, Stipe Miocic, our former UFC heavyweight championship, if you go back on UFC Fight Pass and watch his UFC debut, your buddy Goldie was calling him Stipe Miocic, right? So we are moving in the right direction.
Right.
But with Khabib, a lot of us have always gone Khabib, but all of a sudden him trying to change the surname this week from Nurmagomedov to Nurmagomedov,
Yeah.
but we're not doing that. So
Okay.
I can tell you we're going Khabib Nurmagomedov on the broadcast, and hopefully he doesn't take me down after the fight for screwing it up.
You know, good for you, because if you're going to change your name a few weeks out, or if it's not changed, make it clear. I mean, the guy's, 24, 25-0, whatever it is. Make it clear at some point before you guys lay down. People don't understand the amount of work John and Joe or whoever's on the call with him, whomever's calling these fights. It's not like you guys just roll in at 3 in the afternoon to T-Mobile and plop down and call the fight. There's all kinds of stuff you guys are laying down weeks in advance. So quite frankly, I think it's a little unfair of a Khabib to put that type of pressure on you, and I appreciate you sticking to your guns.
Hey, man, well, I appreciate you saying that, and I think ultimately he just wants us to not be saying Khabib and to say Khabib, which is something that we got the memo on, and we'll be ready to go. But you're right, there's a lot that goes into it, and the way we do these UFC pay-per-views, in part to save the play-by-play guy's voice, we do lay a lot of this stuff to tape. I have never done more pre-voiceover work for a UFC pay-per-view than I have done this week. We've never had more sponsorship, commercial inventory on pay-per-view. You're going to get pretty sick of me talking about EA Sports UFC 3 on Saturday night. But, dude, it's a Super Bowl feel here in Vegas, and I have never said that before, so we're pretty excited.
Well, and one reason I really enjoy talking to you, John, is that you work for the UFC, but you're also a huge fight fan, as am I, and just looking at the sport in general, and you're never afraid to be critical. You're always honest about it, and I'll say it. It's been a rough go with drug suspensions, with failed weight cuts, with injuries. And if Dana White had hair, it would probably all be gone by now. But with this fight, and you know what I'm talking about here, I get really nervous for big fights. I get really nervous regardless of what dog I have in the fight. And this weekend's fight, I'm thinking it's the first time in a while, maybe 1 or 2 times last year I had a little bit of this feeling, but there is nothing like a matchup that just gets you thinking all week long, and you've got one tomorrow night.
No doubt about it. And you're right, there is a certain anxiousness that you feel just as a fight fan, right? And for a while when I wasn't doing the pay-per-views, it was great just to be able to sit back and watch as a fan, right? And not necessarily be charged with providing the soundtrack for these seminal moments in UFC history. Of course, that's the seat I always wanted, and I'm very thankful to have the chance to call, the biggest sporting event of my lifetime on Saturday night. But yeah, man, I mean, you do lose the fan thing a little bit. And it is interesting, too, because, Patriots playoff games, right? I'm from Boston. It's the greatest thing for me, but the worst thing. I don't enjoy watching the Patriots in the playoffs because more things can go wrong than go right. But I just feel like with this fight, it was going to stay together, not just because these guys are making life-altering money, particularly for Khabib Nurmagomedov. People say, I hope he makes weight or whatever. He's going to make weight here in 20 minutes, I can almost guarantee you, and he's going to make that walk because the money that he's going to make Saturday night is going to change his life. So we're ready to go, man. One more sleep.
When you look at this matchup, the keep it simple, stupid analysis is this is the immovable force versus the whatever the heck object. You've got ground guy who wrestled bears, and you have stand-up guy who sent Jose Aldo to, speaking of one more sleep, to a big sleep, knockout power versus wrestling bears. Is it that simple to you that this is grappling fans versus stand-up fans, and that's how the fight's going to go, or is it more layered?
Well, it is more layered because we're scheduled for 25 minutes, and mixed martial arts is probably the most unpredictable sport in the world. But it is a classic striker versus grappler equation here. And even though we've heard Khabib Nurmagomedov hasn't showed you a tenth of what he's able to do in the gym when it comes to his hands, switching stances, going southpaw at times, this is not the fight in which to try those things. So I think you're going to see Khabib be a little bit patient early, but ultimately try to close the distance and get Conor down to the canvas and try to work on emptying that gas tank and abandoning his cardio early. As far as Conor McGregor's concerned, though, he's accrued experience. Even though he hasn't fought in the UFC in 2 years, he has maximized the training. And I think that is something that people aren't talking enough about, is the improvements that Conor McGregor could have made and seemingly will have made in the 2 years away from the octagon. Most of the elite fighters say you don't get better fighting every 3 months. You get better training. And that's what I'm most interested to see, is that if Conor McGregor gets taken down early, how is his get-up? How soon can he get back up? Has he worked on things to try to control his breathing and have better cardio over the course of 5 rounds? He's saying all the right things. He says he's put in the right work. More often than not, I think he has put in the right work. So I'm not willing to go so far as to say if Khabib gets an early takedown that, the outcome is an eventuality. I think Conor will have a pretty good chance to get back up. And as you know, every round starts on the feet. So I think he'll have 5 chances to land one of those mitts on Khabib's chin. We'll see.
Voice of the UFC, Jon Anik, joining us. John, maybe not logic, but a certain type of logic would dictate that this fight is, if Conor wins, he will win early, and that there's a very decent chance that Khabib will wear him down, as you mentioned, that cardio, and you will have a Conor McGregor on his back and eventually submitted, whether it's round 2, round 3, round 4. If Khabib does that, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's doing his job. And if we end up seeing a grounded and pounded Conor in round 3 and round 4 tap out, do you think the majority of mixed martial arts fans have evolved to the point to where they will be happy and appreciative of that outcome? Or do you think you're going to hear thunderous boos coming out of T-Mobile tomorrow?
It's a really good question. I think for the first time in a Conor McGregor fight, there might be a little bit of a battle for the crowd because the Khabib army has come pretty strong here in Las Vegas, and you can be sure that they will voice their appreciation for every ground and pound strike he throws, for every takedown that he secures. But I don't know that there's going to be mass appreciation for that type of effort out of Khabib Nurmagomedov, even though there should be, right? And I think what gets lost in this is just how good Conor McGregor is, right? And I think because of everything that he brings to the table, the all-encompassing nature of what he brings to the sport of mixed martial arts, we don't talk enough about Conor McGregor, the fighter. So for me, if Khabib is able to do that to a guy who I think is maybe the best striker in UFC history, right, understanding distance and range as well as any striker that we've ever seen in the UFC, if Khabib is able to neutralize that guy, 2-year layoff or otherwise, it's an accomplishment that should be celebrated. And for Khabib, it'll be a life changer. But I'm just not sure that he's going to get that mass respect. And honestly, if you know Khabib, I'm not sure that he really cares about that. He just wants to punish Conor, and I'm hoping, at least from his standpoint, that emotions don't get into it and that he just focuses on the task at hand.
Last thing for Jon Anik. John, it is a good fight card, and I wish we had time to get into every fight. I'll pick one, and that's the co-main. That's Tony Ferguson, who many think should be fighting for the title as well, versus Anthony Pettis. I've known both fighters a long time, as have you. It seems on the surface that we're going to see a lot of Tony Ferguson on top of Anthony Pettis tomorrow night, maybe even more so worried about that than Khabib versus Conor. This just simply seems like a Tony run-through on Anthony Pettis. What does Pettis have to do to stand a chance in this fight?
Well, I think you set up the fight well. It's pretty widespread when it comes to the betting odds right now. Ferguson minus 350, Anthony Showtime Pettis coming back at plus 270, and that is as big a betting underdog as I can ever remember Pettis being. That said, if you're only as good as your last fight, Pettis was damn good against Michael Chiesa, and really the rub with Pettis is that he has taken his training regimen back into his own hands. He's not really wrestling very much. He's trying to get back to the guy who realized a UFC championship 5 years ago, and that was a striking phenom and a devastating submission force who can submit you off of his back and submit you in any number of different ways. So they feel like they've seen some things on film with Tony Ferguson that they can exploit Ferguson, at least in past fights, even though he's the first fighter in UFC history at lightweight to win 10 consecutive fights. He has been hittable at times, and Pettis is not a guy you want to get cracked by. So I think it's much closer than the Vegas odds makers are suggesting. But all of that said, if you want to sit here and tell me that Ferguson is the best lightweight in the world, I'm not going to argue that point. I think he is obviously worthy of fighting for the belt here tomorrow night. And you can be sure if Ferguson makes a statement here and beats Pettis that his next fight is going to be for the undisputed title.
John, on a day that my daughter turns 11 years old, I got to ask you, are you finally starting to get a little sleep around the house?
Well, it's nice being in Vegas. I will say, I never used to look forward to going on the road. It's hard as a father. You know this well when you go away and leave your kids. But once I had that third kid, I couldn't get out of South Florida fast enough. So we caught up on the sleep last night, and we are ready to go tomorrow night, man. It's crazy. Like, I've never gotten anxious or nervous packing my suitcase before, so this must be a big show.
You don't say it every time. We're all very proud of you out there, John. You're going to have a great call tomorrow night. UFC pay-per-view. Check your local listings and grab it in a variety of different ways. It's going to be a fun card, and people will be gathered around televisions all over America rooting for, well, whoever the heck they root for, and you'll be hearing Jon Anik's voice through those speakers. Always appreciate your time, especially on weigh-in day, buddy.
My man, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, you take care. That is Jon Anik. We will take a break. When we get back, we've got NostraDumbass, a little What's on Tap. We'll be right back. Sports 1140 KHTK.
The Kings in Seattle? Don't worry, Hoops fans. It's just preseason action, and it's the Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors from Seattle tonight.
I'm high-fiving all the fans I can grab.
Game time is 7:30 here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Carmichael Dave here for Fire Wings. 21 different flavors to choose from. Fire Wings. Kyle's knocked out all but 3. He's got 3 to go. And by this time next week, he may have that done. And he may be crowned the champion of Fire Wings.
I will be the wing champ.
Will you? He's calling a shot. Whether it's breaded Malaysian curry, mango habanero, dragon wings, Peking, lemon pepper, buffalo.
Breaded Jamaican jerk.
That's your jam.
It's my new fave.
Breaded Jamaican jerk. You know, those boneless wings even, and I prefer bone-in, but even the boneless wings, hey, they are soaked in buttermilk overnight. Don't know if you knew that, and that's why they're so tender. And that's why Fire Wings has won Best Wing in Sacramento. Not 1, not 2, 3 years in a row. Go to firewings.com, find the location nearest you, and you tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave and Kyle Madson sent you.
It's the free event at Mattress Firm. This Friday through Monday, you can enjoy 2 free memory foam pillows, a free mattress protector, and a free adjustable base. That's a total value of over $600 free when you take home a queen mattress for just $749. Plus, every brand in the store is on sale. Only the nation's largest specialty mattress retailer can offer deals this good. Your budget stretches further at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply, valid at participating locations only. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
The Nilo Pre-Owned Select team goes to great lengths to find, finesse, and offer only the best available pre-owned cars on the market. That's why every Nilo Pre-Owned Select we sell comes with a 45-day non-maintenance repair window.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's just a fancy way of saying if you have a mechanical issue in the first 45 days of ownership, we'll make it right. For complete details and exclusions on the maintenance repair window, visit Nilo.com. Nilo Pre-Owned Select. Pre-owned car buying perfected.
Hurry in for up to 40% off major appliance hot deals at JCPenney, including free delivery, basic installation, price match guarantee, and 18 or 30-month special financing on qualifying purchases with your JCPenney credit card. Plus, earn up to $100 in JCPenney rewards. JCPenney, style and value for all. Event is valid 9/27 to 10/17. Conditions and exclusions apply. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. Must request at time of purchase. See store jcp.com/appliances for details.
Headphones, case, charger. Walmart has everything.
Oh, you must love your phone.
Yeah, but I could use a break from my mobile bill.
Switch to Walmart Family Mobile. They have unlimited plans starting as low as $24.88 a month.
I can dump my old plan, but keep my phone and number?
Text BYOP to 611-611 to check your phone's compatibility.
Easy.
Get everything you love about Walmart card, and mobile. Walmart Family Mobile. Standard messaging and data rates may apply. Always refer to the privacy policy at myfamilymobile.com/privacy policy and terms and conditions at myfamilymobile.com/terms and conditions.
Thousands of foster youth age out of foster care without the skills they need to make it on their own. As a result, over 50% will experience homelessness. With frequent home moves throughout their childhood, these youth often are lacking vital lessons like how to cook your own meal, manage a budget, or how to ace a job interview, which can create barriers to success. After aging out, foster kids do not have the opportunity to learn the hard way, as one mistake without a safety net of adults supporting them can have dire consequences. Now that's where we can help. When you donate to Ticket to Dream, you help support foster care nonprofits across Sacramento to provide life and job skills programs to foster youth before they age out of care. Just donate $10 a month at tickettodream.org, just kids. Now, by ensuring foster youth have the skills they need to live independently, find employment, and make safe choices, we help create future paths that helps all of our communities thrive. Again, anyone can help. And to donate, visit tickettodream.org/justkids.
Subject to dealer stock on hand and approved customer credit. See dealer for details.
Here, Roseville, think Lexus. Now think the L Certified Fall Collection event. Cream of the Crop Certified's available right now at Lexus of Roseville, located in the Roseville Auto Mall.
Lexus Roseville.
It's the end of the show, but it's the start of your workday. Pour a cold one. It's What's on Tap. Here's What's on Tap.
All right, got a lot on tap. We got NostraDumbass to get to, so let's get to it. I want to remind you this weekend, Kings Fan Fest. That's at 11:30 a.m. all the way to 1 p.m. David J. Stern walk you up at the Golden One Center. Join KHTK for Fan Fest. Time to get ready for the Kings season, guys. Fan Fest, it's fun. It's free. It's your opportunity to watch the Kings take the floor as they prepare for the season. You got to download a ticket to get in, so it's free. You just got to download the ticket. More info at KHTK.com. Kyle Madson.
Yeah, and big congratulations because, of course, it's Friday, which means Friday Night Football.
Yay!
And congratulations to Inderkum High School for winning our Stockton Honda Game of the Week. They're hosting conference rival River Valley tonight. Kickoff at 7:15.
Oof.
Make sure to submit your California family
California.
Yeah, California. Make sure to submit your California family fitme. Jeez Louise.
Well, how does it really go?
Okay, so make sure to submit your California Family Fitness Player of the Week at KHTK.com and listen to Friday Night Football hosted by Matt George and Charles, the Hammer Hamilton, presented by Wingstop.
Kings Warriors in Seattle, going to be a raucous environment on ESPN. You can, of course, hear it right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. There will be no time this year the Sacramento Kings will be booed longer and louder. They are the enemy. They are the clubber lang to Rocky Balboa. Trust me when I say this. People are going to boo them silly.
Yeah.
Just
classy, plucky underdog Warriors team going in there.
Exactly. And we have a full baseball slate today. How about this going into Friday? What a sports day. 11:05 first pitch. Indians and Astros open up their ALDS series, followed by Game 2, Rockies Brewers at 1:15. Yankees Red Sox, first game of their ALDS. That's at 4:32. And by the way, apparently that's all that matters anywhere in all of sports is Yankees Red Sox. And Braves-Dodgers Game 2 at 6:37. All right, let's get to this. We got to get to this quick. NostraDumbass, where Kyle and I pick games over the weekend, always Niners and Raiders if they're playing. We'll have one wild card game. We'll replay this on Monday to see how smart and or how stupid we are. We'll start with the Raiders and Chargers at 105. Kyle, I told you before, I'll say it again. This is my upset pick of the week. Chargers favored by 5.5. Derek Carr, 430 yards, 3 touchdowns. Throw an interception in there as well. I think he's going to find Amari Cooper again. I think he's going to find Jared Cook. I don't know who the third one's going to be. I don't care. Marshawn Lynch will get into the end zone as well. That's 4 touchdowns right there. Add in a couple of extra points. 34-31. It will be a close game. 34-31, Raiders come out with the victory.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Raiders' defense is going to have a tough time, but their offense got it rolling last week. That Browns defense is good. and the Raiders offense figured it out. I think they'll continue to figure it out. I'm right there with you. But I'm going 4 touchdowns for Derek Carr.
Wow.
I'm going 2 to Amari Cooper. He breaks out once again. I've got another one to Jordy Nelson. And then give me Martavis Bryant. I think Martavis Bryant gets on the board as well.
Not mine to give, but okay.
I think Marshawn Lynch gets into the end zone, and I think the Raiders walk away with a 35-34 win.
Oh, so we're right there.
Yeah.
Okay, game number 2, Cardinals. Levi Stadium, Santa Clara versus the San Francisco 49ers, 125 first kick. You know, the Raiders are an upset special, but they're not my only upset. They're not my only upset special.
Ooh.
The Arizona Cardinals are going to come in and play a very sloppy game with the San Francisco 49ers. Give me 2 picks for each of the quarterbacks. Give me a couple of random running back touchdowns. This is going to be a sloppy, dumb game. It's going to frustrate the hell out of everybody. Give me 24-14. I think Cardinals are going to come away with the victory in this one, and Niner fans are going to be quite upset come Monday.
All right, Niners, Cardinals.
Pretty much. You can use that as your Nostradumbass.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that your prediction?
Yeah, I think so.
So Kyle's prediction for that game is okay.
Niners 20, Cardinals 16.
Niners 20, Cardinals 16. All right. Wild card game of the week. I'm going to pick the toughie here. I'm going to go Jags Chiefs. And by the way, nothing says we have to pick different wild card games if you want to grab that one. I thought the Chiefs were going to come back to earth last week against Denver. They almost did, but all credit to them. They pulled it off. Not so with the Jaguars. Sorry, not happening. I think the Jags are going to go in there, and they're going to show them exactly who's boss in the AFC. Blake Bortles, give him 3 touchdowns. No Leonard Fournette, though, but TJ Yeldon will get into the end zone. I think it's going to be a huge blowout, but I think you're looking at something like, let's call it 35-28. Patrick Mahomes, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Kareem Hunt will get in once. 35-28. Give me the Jaguars at Arrowhead.
I'm going to go with Rams-Seahawks as my wild card game because I think that this is going to be the game that everyone goes, oh, yeah, the Seahawks are done. Like, that dynasty is over. Their home field advantage is gone. Their fans are gone.
Well, the fans are stupid.
Right. They were always the worst, but now they're not there anymore. They're not loud. The Rams are going to go into Seattle and put a beat down on a bad Seahawks team, and it will signal the official end of that Seahawks era. I think Jared Goff throws for 4 more touchdowns and 400 more yards. I think Todd Gurley has a huge day, and I think the Rams go in and beat the Seahawks 41-3.
I thought for a second you were going to say this is the week that the Rams come back to earth.
No, I think they kill the Seahawks.
Okay. That's your Nostradumbass. Tune in on probably Tuesdays, generally when we do it. We'll replay Nostradumbass for you, and we'll see, like I said, exactly how smart and or how stupid we are. I'm going to go ahead and make a correction, guys. I'm just reading the paper in front of me.
Hey, do you want to let Monday Night Football here take us out?
Do I want to let this music?
Yeah. This isn't Monday Night Football. This is Fox.
I want to make this correction, though, because I'm just reading what's in front of me here, and I'm going to correct it. We said FanFest 11:30 to 1 p.m. Season ticket holders get in at 12:15. General admissions actually at 12:30, not 11:30. So make sure you keep that proper time in mind. Thank you, Texter, for pointing that out. That's 12:30. Doors open for general admission. If you're a season ticket holder, you can get in there at 12:15. And I'm pulling that right off the old Kings website. All right.
Hey, I got some tickets to give away. Yeah, one more pair of Dirks Bentley. I thought we got rid of them yesterday, but we got one more. Thanks to our wonderful promotions people. You can get tickets to Dirks Bentley happening October 6th. That's Saturday. Tomorrow at the Toyota Amphitheater. Get your tickets and more info at KHTK.com. All KHTK giveaways are powered by RosevilleAutomall.com. Third caller, right now.
Third caller?
Right meow.
Right meow.
Right?
You can't hear it very well. Right?
Oh, yeah, because you have the music. Yeah, okay.
I could always do this, Kyle. I could go right.
There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, we're letting this take us out, though,
yeah,
right?
Let the music take
You said Monday Night Football. All right, that's it. Eunice does a tremendous job behind the scenes. Check out her work on the KHTK YouTube channel, where you can find all our video casts archived. Also, the audio as well in the KHTK app, not only for us, but for every show on the station, and podcasts like Damian Barling's Be Conscious podcast. Check that out as well. Be a subscriber. For Eunice, for Kyle Madson, for Jon Anik, for Dave Richard, for Sean Salisbury, I'm Carmichael Dave. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend. Enjoy the fight tomorrow. As always, please be safe. I want all of you +1 back here at 6 a.m. Monday right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye now.